Hello everyone. So in this video we are going to discuss about how can you get all the information related to the DNS records of any particular target. So DNS stands for Domain Name Service, sometimes also referred as Domain Name Server or Domain Name System. So we are going to send DNS queries to a particular target, and we are going to identify a lot of information from that particular target, which will include the DNS records like A record, CNAME record, TXT record, MX record, etc. So with the help of DNS Goodies, we are going to see the whois details of any particular domain or IP address. We are also going to do the DNS query lookups. We are also going to perform open relay checks, reverse DNS lookups, spam database check. We are going to see what is my IP, how can you perform traceroute to any particular target, check pings, and check the abuse lookup database of that particular target. So when you will just go to this particular link, which is dnsgoodies.com, you are going to come across an interface something like this. Over here, there are particular options for each category that we have discussed now, and you can search for that. So it is the practical time, and let's see how you can perform DNS query lookups on dnsgoodies.com. You just have to type this particular domain address and you will come up on this particular website. As you can see, there are a couple of options that we can do. Let me just zoom this a little bit more. So the first one is whois, to identify the information about any target. So let us say over here we type bugcrowd.com and run whois. So when you're going to do this, you will get the information about that particular target, the registrar's details, which is the particular ISP or which ISP ranges has been purchased by that particular target. As you can see over here, we have got the whois results. So the domain name is bugcrowd.com. The registry domain ID is this. Registrar whois server, the registrar URL, updated on 2018. The registry expiry date is in 2028, and so on. We have a lot of information over here regarding that particular target. Now you can also export the results into the RTF format, which is basically similar like a Word document format, and you can save it into your local computer, which will be useful for you in case you want to come back and see the details. Also, you can click on email results and enter your email address, wherein DNS Goodies will send you the email address with all the necessary details, again, which will be helpful because you will have a record for whatever searches or whatever target you have searched for or have performed the queries for. Second one is the DNS query lookup, in which we are going to search for the DNS records. So let us search for bugcrowd.com as well, and you have to hit on DNS lookup. Once you do this, we are going to see these records, which is the A record, MX record, the name server, the start of authority, and the PTR records. As you can see, the A records over here. So A records are basically where this particular domain name or host name points to. As you can see, it points to these IP address. So these two IP addresses belongs to bugcrowd.com, and this is the A record pointing query. Next is the MX record, which is the mail exchange records, and here we identify that bugcrowd uses google.com email services. CNAME record, as you can see, there is no CNAME record. A CNAME stands for a canonical name, wherein if they want to point bugcrowd.com to some other domain name, then they can point it. For example, if they want to point bugcrowd.com to, let's say, rohitbugcrowd.com or xyzbugcrowd.com, so they can even do that with the help of CNAME record. Next is the name servers. So as you can see, their name servers belongs to Cloudflare, which means it has been hosted on the Cloudflare service. No PTR records, no SOA records. All right. So again, you can export these details onto your mail, as well as you can save a copy of a Word into your computer as well. Reverse DNS lookup is basically the vice versa of DNS lookup, the DNS query lookup. So the reverse DNS lookup is a query technique of DNS to determine the domain name which is associated with any IP address. So basically the reverse of the usual forward DNS lookup of an IP address from a domain name. This is known as reverse DNS lookup. So the process of reverse resolving of IP addresses uses the PTR records. All right, so how does it do? So the reverse DNS involves searching the domain name registry and the registrar tables from the database as we saw into the host. Next is open relay check, in which you can identify if your mail server has not been properly configured, and if there is any misconfiguration, you can simply check over here. Next is the spam database check, in which you can check if your mail server of the particular domain is blacklisted or not. So for this, we are going to take one of the particular domain name which is actually blacklisted. For that, you can just simply go to Phishing Tank. Phishing Tank is one of a very good resource wherein all the phishing reported websites database has been maintained. So you can just simply go to Phish Tank, and over here you can search for any particular website that you come across and you do not know the source or the integrity of that particular website. You can just check there and you will be able to see if that particular domain that you have got is a phishing website or not. Through that way, you can safeguard yourself from getting attacked from these types of domains. So as you can see, we have a list of domains over here. So here we saw PayPal support -co.uk.network and facilities. So this was basically a fake domain or a phishing domain which must have been used to attack other servers. All right, so this has been reported over here. Now what we are going to do is we are going to take one of the domain name from here and we are going to check if it has been reported into the spam database check or the mail server has been blacklisted or not. So I'm just going to choose the random target and I'm going to perform the test. As you can see, this lookup for this IP was this and it has been blocked. So this has been checking in other spam database checks and you can see that these spam database of these different organizations, as you can see, CyberLogic, AHBL and so on, have blocked. Not listed means they have not identified yet, but in some time or in the near future they are also going to block it. So basically any domains which have been identified or tracked as being phishing domains gets reported over to the Phish Tank, as well as their mail servers also get blacklisted. The next one is very simple, which is what is my IP. Here you can identify what is your IP address. If I will just click over here, and then I'm going to get my public IP address which has been assigned to me by my ISP. So as you can see over here, You can see this is my IP address, which has been assigned to me by my internet service provider. And you can see over here, this is my name of this internet service provider. As you can see, ubroadband.in. I can also export the results in RTF as well as email the results to myself. Ping is very simple. If you want to check the host discovery and identify if the particular host is alive or dead, you can just do a ping discovery. So let us try to do a ping discovery to Bugcrowd and check if the host is alive or dead. So we're just going to get results in a couple of seconds over here, and you will be able to see that the particular server which we have pinged is alive. As you can see over here, we are able to get the reply, which means the particular target server is live and working. The next is the abuse lookup. So here you can see the abuse contact for the domain. In case you have found out any particular domain which is running any phishing software, or you see any phishing website that has been cloned, or that particular website is hosting some type of malware, so you can just report it to the registrar. So for example, you want to identify bugcrowd.com abuse lookup. So you are just going to search the target name and then you are going to hit on lookup. So once you do this, we are going to get the contact for that particular domain, the target which you have tracked for. So let us just see over here, and this is the details where we have got abuse@bugcrowd.com as the email address or the contact, where you can simply contact them regarding if there is any abuse or malicious activities that you see. And the last one is trace route. Trace a host name or an IP address. So if you want to trace a host name, let's say bugcrowd.com, and identify how the actually request goes out of your particular computer to the server of your target which you are scanning. So you will be able to see the hops of the particular request which travels from your local computer to the particular server. So let us wait for the results for the trace, and you will be able to see the results over here. Till the results are getting loaded, you can also do it manually. So let me just show you how you can perform a trace route manually. So over here, you just have to type the command, which is trace route and bugcrowd.com, which is your target, and hit enter. And you can see the hops has been started, and the first request that has been going is to my router. This is obvious. The first request that will go from my local computer that I'm using currently is to the router. Once it has reached the router, then from the router it is going to go to the ISP which has provided the internet. So it is possible that this is the IP address of the local ISP, and it goes to the ISP again. So maybe to another ISP server the particular request is going, and from there it starts traveling until it reaches your target. So as you can see, Cloudflare, this is the particular target on which bugcrowd.com is running. So here you can see how your request is being traveling. Sometimes this has been very helpful for network engineers to identify and debug if sometimes there is a fault into their local systems, or there is a fault into the internet that has been working into that particular network. So this way also they come to know, okay, so there is a particular issue because the request is not going ahead from my router. So there is an issue with the ISP itself. So in case the request is not reaching the Cloudflare server or your target server that you have scanned for, then we come to know, all right, so there is an issue with the target domain address. Let us go back to our browser and see that we have got our results. And you can see over here, the request is traveling from my computer to the DNS Goodies server and these are the IP addresses and host name to that particular server, and finally it will reach the target. As you can see, this is the IP address of the target that we already saw into the Whois database. So I hope you guys understood how you can utilize DNS goodies and get information about the DNS results and or the DNS queries. Thank you.